Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black VTF here at T3 Live with today's market wrap up. And SPY backs off a little bit. We got a little bit of weakness, nothing to really write home about, but certainly some interesting action because we opened today as an outside bar on the 15 here. And so what that tells me, that's a fractal triangle. That means took out both sides. It's both sides of the range. So that needs to break out and needs to expand. So we had one shot up in here that then dropped in, and at that point we could start to look for expansion to the other side, which we certainly got. You hear me talk about inside bars a lot, and I'm going to get to a few things to show you that. And you can see this here, inside 15 here and back up, inside 15 here, attempts to take into the highs here. So you can see how this would be slight higher highs off this large bar like that. And then here it doesn't hold. And so then it comes back in and goes inside again, which means it's either going to rest before we can take another shot at, or it's an exhaustion of the buy move, which it was. Drops back in, goes inside again. So it either is going to take a shot back up, drops back in. That's not what happened. Hits the bottom of the triangle, goes inside, comes back up. Now it's either going to inside again. It's either going to rest and take another shot, or drops back in, goes inside again. Triangle expando, and so at this point here it goes inside again and comes back up, goes inside again and goes down. So a lot of when you hear me calling inside stuff, this is why we do it. You can see how neat and that was. When I talked about looking for, we're always looking for volatility, anything that's moving in this type of environment, and not too much out of the gaps today. CBLI was one that I didn't have in the morning call. But what's interesting here is also is like when you see something and I say we're looking for a gap and go, gap and reverse, gap and sit, you can see how it goes inside 15er here, the third one in. And the one that took that out, that was all she wrote, right back up in here. And yes, you're going to have to protect that before it came back. But much like Facebook in the last few days, right off the opening has done that as well, where it's people like, I can't chase it. I'm like, it's not chasing. It's just waiting for that equilibrium to form and then finding your way in. So here, I believe, was the opening inside 15 or here. I believe this was the opening here inside 15 or here. And so that's why you're going to hear me call that stuff out. Anyway, we did have some nice action out of the HMOs. Humana ripping in the afternoon. And so, once again, if you're looking for a way in after something takes off, look for an inside bar, and inside 15 goes up, doesn't stop out in here. Not as clean as we would like, 15 back down, but you can watch all of them. Aetna, here you can see it was a lot cleaner of a 15 inside and right back up. Cigna actually give you the perfect go up, inside 15 back down, hold a higher low, go inside 15 and go back on our merry way. You can see that. THC was another one that took off with that. And if you look at TMH, also, when this thing takes off, here you'll see this goes up, goes inside 15 here, and takes off. And when I talk about looking at multiple time frames, at this point, right as it took off out of here, it broke the inside month to the upside right here above 63.11. So if you looked at UNH when that came up with the rest of them, it also helped re-break the month here above 121.85, just a little bit there. So it's certainly some stuff, and then some late shenanigans. VRX here right on the bell. As you can see, this having some shenanigans here. Even inside oneer works coming into the bell with ZTS, which just locked up in the last minute. So we'll see how that. We'll definitely be watching those tomorrow morning. If we look at some of the guys I talked about before, Tesla. And Tesla fades in the afternoon. It did go inside day to the upside here, as you can see. I'll shrink that down so you can see it. Didn't go gangbusters, and the market wasn't helping, but it did go inside day and up. And so when I talk about combining the signals again, as long as it was above here, which is 267.35, it's inside day and up actionable signal. And so if you combine that with the 60 right here, this inside 60 break helped re-break the day and was 60 and up for this hour. Did it back off? Yes, it did. It went inside 60 and back down, closed inside 60. But this period of time was a nice chunk to catch. If we take a look at Netflix, Puker, and Netflix, rallies back at the end of the day. I talked about this triangle here, gets just about to it, slight lower lows, and rallies back up. So maybe it'll take some time, but we're certainly going to be watching how it acts in here, this consolidation area, to see if it takes another run at this gap or gets worse by falling down into there. If we go to GMCR, GMCR, and I talk about looking for the strength and weaknesses and stuff we've known that is weak, and certainly GMCR on that list with an actionable signal, and by that I mean inside weak to the downside. And so when the market started doing what it does, no reason to believe that was going up. In the last few days that I've been on here, I talked about Western Digital being inside month and down, and you can see on the daily still weak there, and Western Digital trades with STX, and I showed this here a few days ago, and now you can see how that's played out. Inside weak and down there too, staying weak. If we take a look at Amazon, and I talk about how you need to get out of this stuff. And by that I mean this big bar, all of these weeks are completely within this bar's range. And so on the monthly, it's trying to go inside month and up here above 439, which is good, but it still hasn't taken that out, and that's causing a lot of choppiness. And if you go to the 15, there's another good example of how the inside bars are either a rest or an exhaustion. And right on the opening, it gaps down. And here's that 439. That's the inside month break. And so what you got was the inside 15, which is either a rest before more dumping or an exhaustion of the selling and back up, and that's what it was. An exhaustion of the selling, back up, retakes the month, goes inside 15 for the rest, 15-minute momentum hammer to go to the highs, exhaustion of the buying inside 15 and back down. So another good example there, and then we want to combine them with that SPY inside 15 here that really got cracked right here to break the triangle here, and that combined, when we look at how everything else sets up with an IBB here, was not quite inside 15, but we were watching it at that, I'm sorry, it was here. And that IBB 15 went and then down here, and then we break it down into GILD, and you can see a bunch of those had the same pattern there, the inside 15 measured move down extension. So when we'll look at that for tomorrow, on some inside days, we'll look at TLT. Here does nothing, goes inside day, so we'll see what the bonds want to do on a Friday. Another good thing about Fridays is that often it's more easier oftentimes to counter trend trade because anybody's made money in something all week is more likely to take profits on a Friday. We saw that in AMBA last week. You might remember that. This day was a Friday and then continued here. If we took a look at Apple, Apple goes inside day, and so that's either good or bad because if it breaks below and stays there, sets up for the reversal strat week. That means an inside bar that's rejected and comes back in, and still an inside month break needs to happen, or it goes inside day and up and re-breaks that week, which would be good. If we go to BABA, doing all sorts of nothing on the monthly, inside month but red, and goes inside day to see what kind of range we can get out of that. If we go to the trannies getting slammed again, and here's that lower triangle on the daily, and back to the lows here is the trannies. So we want to see if we're going to continue that or if we're going to exhaust that and try and go back up. If you look at the 60, you're going to see this. To the tick-tock ticky right here, and we're going to see how that holds, because if we look at FedEx stays as an inside day. So does that break to the downside and help accelerate it, or does it go back up and negate it? Same with United Airlines here, was an inside day. And if we take a look at the oils, USO backing off just a little bit, still trying to take the week out and really want this range to expand. And you can see it's still wreaked all sorts of havoc on XLE, which would almost be an inside week again, but more importantly, just seeing how it's walked down this, kind of like STX. And OIH here, shooting star and then back down towards the low. So when you see these things this week, we want to look for inside days there as well. If you look at the 60-minute triangle, and you often hear me talking about triangles become support and resistance, and here you can see this upper 60-minute OIH comes right to the tick, can't get in, and then boom, boom, down, sideways, puke. So for tomorrow, just some inside days to keep an eye on in the oil sector. NOV here, you've got CLR. And so the question here is this: bottom of the triangle, like this, come back up, or down sideways measured move and take a shot down into there. PXD as well is also an inside day near the basement. We can also look at stocks that are hanging around the highs here, like AAP, Advanced Auto Parts. So far, no problems there. Market tries to go down, doesn't care. So we'll see if the market firms up with something like that would do near the highs. We also had a little bit of action out of the ags, not a ton of it, but a little chatter going on to try and wake up some action there. Mosaic, Potash, AGU. So we'll see if how that pans out. A few others here. Data, been one of the stronger names. You can see it finally went inside day and down yesterday. Now it's another inside day to see if this is just a 4-day correction, and we can take that out and go zooming back to the highs, or is this the beginning of just starting to walk down? Something like Adobe might be earlier on that and say inside day. Does this have more juice to go inside day and power to more new highs today? Tomorrow is going to start to back off. We got earnings from Nike right now, and Nike is back to 107.70, so that's going back trying to take out the highs, and so we'll watch how that acts against Under Armour here. And Under Armour, you can see, is not quite an inside day, but we'll see how that affects it. And Foot Locker is an inside day near the highs too. So, in this environment, we're going to keep an eye on things. Certainly the oil's a problem. If we take a look at the financials, FAS came in a little substantially, but KRE held very tough. So still a few mixed bags, and we're watching sector by sector, stock by stock, gap by gap, day by day, and with a new month coming up at the end of the quarter. So it should be very interesting, especially with the holiday week coming up, to see what kind of beginning of the quarter allotments come out and how things move, or if they're wait for the following week. So a lot of good things coming up. I know it seems like it's a little slow, but that's why you got guys like me to go try and ferret out the opportunities. All right, I hope everybody has a good night. I will see you in the morning. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black VTF here at T3 Live with today's market wrap-up.